we're about the same height then.
Oh, you know what, Paul? You can shut the fajita up.
Awesome.
I'm trying to do the hey-o with the hee-haw, hee-haw.
Yeah, that was the worst. I like how it's getting, like, you had, like, a shtick that worked, and then you just had to, like, hump it all up by trying to change it, and it's ridiculous.
All right, let's start all over and let me do it the right way. I'm just kidding, don't.
You ready? 1, 2. Anyways, hey, everybody. There it is. Hey, it's Friday, or it's Sunday, or it's Wednesday, or whatever fornicate day it is to you. But it's Bass and Brews time. We've got two stellar anglers with us today. But before we get to our anglers, we've got announcements. We've got something special tonight. So I want everybody to be paying attention. Don't skip ahead. This isn't ads. This isn't us trying to get you.
I'm excited, so I want to get people prepared.
Yes,
and we have to sing too. Everybody has to
we
sing.
will. Everybody on this podcast will sing when we get there. But we had a listener's wife reach out, and she said, Victoria said that her husband, Caleb, you guys might know him as Mitten Outdoors 98 on Instagram, is like the biggest fan of ours. And it's his birthday this weekend. So here's what we're going to do. Caleb's a really good dude. He's a stand-up guy. He works hard for his family. He's out there grinding every day. The only real downside is he's got this POS boat that he keeps trying to fix up. He should really just sink that bastard. But for Caleb, we're going to sing happy birthday. Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday. We're not doing the whole thing. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Caleb. Bitten Money 98 on Instagram. Happy birthday to you.
All right, Caleb. Hey, man. Happy birthday. Exactly. It probably won't be a lot if he's anything like our other fans. Are old as shit, and he's probably going to die soon. But, Caleb, we just want to add on to it. Actually, before we get to that, props to Victoria. What a cool wife to help set all this up. But, Caleb, we're going to have you on the show soon. We're going to be in touch, and you're going to come on and do a little guest spot. And we'll chit-chat before a show. So we'll be in touch soon. So happy birthday, bud, from the Bass and Brews crew. Paul sounded like he was going to have something on the soundboard, and he failed.
Well, I was the soundboard singing happy birthday.
Okay. All right, that was the first big announcement. Number 2 announcement, everybody go check out the Patreon if you want to help support the show. It's also the only way that you get access to Last Call with Alex and Paul, our monthly live show that we do with you guys, the producers of this show. So go check it out. I think Paul's discounted rate is still running. Every time we do an episode, Paul says, yeah, we're running for like 2 or 3 more months. So,
this is the last month, unless Alex can't figure out how to change the tiers.
I figured it out.
Well, let's make it happen. And here's the other thing, too. They're executive producers, not just producers.
Yes, you're right.
Because the executive producers
are the ones
that pay for it and don't get a say in shit.
Exactly. And then kind of the last announcement I have, I'm sure Paul's going to have some dumb crap that he's going to talk about. But hopefully you guys have checked out. I haven't edited an On the Water video in over a year. I dropped last week a YouTube video, a little new series. It's going to be randomness of whenever I actually decide to edit up videos. And thanks to Ramon, we kind of spitballed a name, and it's going to be Bass and Brews Shower Beers is going to be the name of the series, because shower beers are fun. Not all the time. If you do shower beers all the time, you have a problem. But if you do them every once in a while, it's a good time. So hopefully, if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out on YouTube. You'll see it. It's the one that doesn't look like all the other podcasts.
I've got 2 announcements to make. One
they're
is,
dumb.
can we
They're dumb.
stop doing the damn last call with Alex and Paul on Fridays before a damn tournament?
You should
seriously,
probably
every
talk to
single-
the executive producers.
No, you the one that scheduled it for Fridays, the first Friday, and I got
I don't
a
have a
damn
tournament.
after every. You did, and you didn't even go because you're a little scared, little shit. The second announcement I have, everybody, I need y'all to message Alex once a day to send me my damn fornicating
I'm working on
crankbaits.
I'm working on those. I'm working on those Fiji crankbaits right now because I'm in the process of grinding down all the hooks, so it's just gonna have stubs because you are a giant piece of crap. So
I will replace the hooks. That's not a problem. Send them to me however you want, long as they ain't busted up. But send me my damn it's crankbait season.
All right. Also, everybody remember, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, and then be as mean as possible when you write the review. If you don't want to do it on Apple, you can also hit us up at bassandbrews@gmail.com. You can
We
do
don't
it
have
anonymous.
any new ones for the second week in a row. They're slacking off.
Yeah,
Pansies.
most of our viewers are a bunch of pansies, and they're not even good enough to be keyboard warriors. So I don't know. Ball's in your court, Brewskis. You guys figure it out.
We're asking you to be mean as you can. You don't have to believe it. Just write it out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Paul.
Great.
Introduce our guests.
Well, we don't introduce our guests like other podcasts because that's not what we do. We have a question that we ask them, but we've got Bebe, Angling Women on. Bebe down here. I've known Bebe for a long time. First time I met Bebe was in 1997 at Camp Wildwood. I was a first-year camper and then got to be a second-year camper and then a third-year camper, and I've been knowing Bebe for a long time, and she does something called Angling Women now that we'll talk about during the podcast, but that was preceded by Angling Kids. And I was one of the lucky ones in this group of campers that we had that got to be her guinea pig for Angling Kids. And that's so awesome. And when I used to live in South Carolina, would go to the Carolina Sportsman's Classic, they had the Angling Kids stuff. I was like, yes, I was part of that in the very beginning. So we got Bebe on here. She down there in the Low Country. If anybody don't know about the Low Country of South Carolina, that's the Charleston area. And then Bebe got us Tanya, Real Chica. Tanya's on, and she is a guide down in the Low Country area. And y'all need to follow Real Chica and Angling Women on all the social medias because we have a bona fide, real, actual captain down in the Low Country on here tonight. And that's going to be awesome. We're going to actually learn something about fishing on this podcast. This is like probably the third podcast in the last 2 years where probably will actually learn something about fishing.
That's not
on
true.
This podcast.
No, they always learn about your gout. They learn about
that has nothing to do with fishing. I haven't
wrong.
had gout since I got rid of the liquor. The gout don't come back no more. That stuff's terrible. Look, I have never had kidney stones. I ain't never been pregnant, but the gout has got to be up there as one of the top things that hurts the most. It is something terrible. I mean,
Do you think that's above having to use the boat ramp port-a-potty?
it depends on how well they clean them. I mean, if it's a Sunday afternoon after a weekend of porta potty use, yeah, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. You probably got to mount you probably got a Mount Kilimanjaro in there that you got to take a poop stick and knock over so you don't get any.
Isn't that how Ugly Stick got its name? Right? You're supposed to use their rods to push it down, right? I think that's how it works. Well,
look, here's how we start. This is how we introduce our people. We don't have a long drawn out who you are, what you do, where you're from. We
10
ask
minutes
a
in,
simple
we do.
question. We ask it, yes. And look, we're going to ask this question. I promise you, we're probably going to come back to it in about an hour and a half as well, because we'll go off in the left field about something. But Tanya, BB, what is your journey that has brought you here today on Bass and Brews? What's your fishing journey that has brought you here?
Tanya, take it.
Tanya, you're first. What do you
Oh,
got?
I get the. All right.
Hey, Tanya, are you going to be okay to talk on this? If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, make sure to check it out. But Tanya's got a background where I'm pretty sure she's at a South Carolina penitentiary right now, and that's. It's fine. It's fine. If you're on a prisoner release program, that's completely okay. I'll sign off the little sheet. It'll be all right.
I get 3 square meals a day. I get outdoor activity. It's a kind of a win-win situation here. So,
she's a guide, but the body of water is just the prison sewer system. So a lot of brown trout.
It's the retention pond out in the back.
As AFCO says, any fish, any water.
Oh my God, we have got to pull that clip and send it to AFCO because they have got to use that.
Oh my goodness. All right, Tanya, how did you get started in this whole thing?
Well, I've been. So I grew up here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I've been on the water my entire life. I kind of jokingly tell people that I was kicked out of the womb and into the water. Grew up on Lake Moultrie, which is kind of an hour outside of Charleston. My folks have a lake house up there that my grandparents had, and we actually grew up, skiing and sailing, and really didn't do any fishing. My grandfather and great grandfather were both avid anglers.
Hey, how much skiing? What's the skiing like in South Carolina? You guys have a lot of powder down there? Or?
No, this is water skiing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Now we have ice here.
Y'all skied on Lake Moultrie?
Oh, heck yeah.
Dude, for y'all that don't know, that's Santee Cooper Lakes where there's like 13, 20-foot alligators in there. They're bigger than the boat. And y'all are out. I never knew somebody actually skied on Santee.
Well, the gator population is more significant than it was when I was younger, so.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's still wild. Like, I wouldn't even dip my feet in the water there.
You'd be fine with that gout toe. They wouldn't come near you.
Yeah, they bite it and it break their teeth off. Actually, you know what? If it ever comes back, I might go down there and see if they'll take that toe off. It'll probably feel better.
That'd be a free amputation, A lot cheaper than going to the hospital, so.
Yeah, I'd still need to get some antibiotics, probably.
Yeah. But yes, I grew up, like I said, my grandfather, great grandfather, avid anglers. My father was not a fisherman at all. I think I've seen him have his hand on a rod and reel once, and he wasn't actually fishing. But what I call my other parents, which were my parents' best friends, were big into fishing. They loved to bass fish and brim fish, and so they would take me out and. My first fish I actually ever caught was on a cane pole right off the dock right at where our lake house was, which was pretty cool. And so I kind of got the bug there, but I didn't do a ton of fishing until I hit my 20s. And in my 20s, I bought a brand new boat and was boating through one of our local waterways that's well known. It's called Wapoo Cut or Elliott's Cut. And these guys are in this little 14-foot John boat anchored. And I'm watching, and they pull out this ginormous, orangey, reddish-looking fish. And I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh, my God, you can catch that here? So here I am, this low-country girl, been in the saltwater my entire life, but I'm at the beach. I wasn't in the, it wasn't really in the saltwater per se. And so I was like, oh, my God, I got to go, start catching this stuff. So I started fishing, and kind of the bug took off, and then I started doing some tournament fishing with some friends, and really kind of got into more, and then decided, okay, I'm tournament fishing now. I need to get a better boat. So I sold my Jeep and my little boat and upgraded to a flats boat, and just kind of was a weekend warrior. And then life happened. My husband and I actually had a veterinary practice for over 20 years. He's a veterinarian. I ran the practice, and we sold it about 7 years ago. And so once we sold it, I was like, I got to reinvent myself as an old lady. And so my buddy at the time was the manager at the local tackle shop called Hadrell's Point Tackle here in Charleston. And I had jokingly said to him years before, I said, hey, I'm going to come work for you one day. And so when we sold the practice, he said, "Are you serious?" He says, "Because I need to help, a few days a week." And I said, "You know what? I'll come help you a couple days a week." So I started working in the practice, or excuse me, in the tackle shop, and
still practice. You're still just practicing.
Yeah, just practicing. And it opened up a lot of doors for me. Well, while I was in the shop one day, one of the local charter captains, he and his wife came in, and they said, "Hey, so we're starting this boating company to teach boating on the water, and we want you to be one of our female captains to teach boating." And I was like, "Well, guess I better go get my captain's license." And so I was like, "All right, I'll go get my captain's license." So then, of course, I was pursuing my captain's license to teach. And then the guys in the shop and my friends are like, "Tanya, you need to start running fishing charters." And of course, I immediately said, "Hell no, it'll make me hate fishing." I'm like, "No." So I hemmed and I hawed and I hemmed and I hawed. And I finally said, "You know what? All right, I'm going to do this. But what I want to do is I want to cater to the female angler. So I want to be the place that women can come, hop on a boat, and that pressure is not there." Mm-hmm. And, whether you be a new angler or somebody that wants to improve on your skills, that's what I wanted to do. So, of course, I love taking anybody out, from kids to, men, women, whoever, but I am passionate about getting that female angler out on the water. And that's really why I'm kind of doing what I'm doing now.
What year was that you went and got your captain's license and started doing charters?
So that's only been what's it been? Almost 3 years ago now. So
okay, she just casually threw out there, "Yeah, I'll just go get my captain's license." I mean, it took Alex like 3 times to pass his GED. There's no way in hell Alex could ever be a captain.
One. Fuck you.
He was in
fajita.
And he was in the Coast Guard for 20 years too, and he still can't get his captain's license.
Anyways, I just realized as you were saying that to take you're saying that's an awesome idea, right? To take that pressure off of a female angler coming in. It just dawned on me, if I want to become a better angler, I'm going to request a female guide, because I'm going to try to be better. I'm going to try to showboat a little bit more. I'm going to try to catch as many fish as possible. I want that pressure on, and I'm going to be a better angler. I think that's the key. That's how you should do it. Like, hey, we make females happy, and the dudes, you better work hard. Boom. $1 million idea.
I always tell people, we, for women, we all have somebody that will take us fishing, but we don't all have somebody that will teach us how to fish. And yeah,
that's a good point.
Like, I'm related to most of those men that don't teach me how to fish.
Well, that's a whole different conversation though, because when you take your family fishing, you skip the teaching part, and it's just the hollering part. It's just the, why did you do that? Oh my God, not again. That's why, like Tanya said, her second parents were the ones that got her into fishing, because they're the ones that have the patience. They aren't going to cuss at you or kick you off the boat. They have more patience than your family taking you fishing, because your family are going to be assholes. They the ones that are going to be like, "Look, if you bird's nest another reel, you're cleaning the boat when we get back, and now you're scared to cast."
Yeah, if you break up, I've already shown you how to tie that hook on. Figure it out.
That's why you end up fishing with no hook for like an hour, just because you're scared to say. You're just whipping that thing. They're like, "What are you doing, fly fishing?"
Everybody's catching fish, but you're like, "What's going on over there?" And you reel it up. There's nothing. There's nothing on the end, no hook. And y'all look, it's okay, because Alex, for at least the first 2 years I was on this podcast, threw half his lures off when he casted them.
All right,
and then I gave him so much shit that he finally learned how to tie a decent knot.
Listen here, you motherfalooza. I'm tired of that BS. All right. My knots were just fine. I'm pretty sure it was defective line is what I'm going to go with. Defective line. It's because I was using Astroglide line. It's very slippery, and it's, I mean, it's easy to get it through the eye, but it's hard to take a hold. So
there we go. Bebe, what's your journey?
I'm sure we all can attest that we've probably at least thrown one cast with a really nice hard bait on, and that hard bait has gone bye-bye.
Last week we had 2 weeks ago we had this guy on, and he was talking about using big swim baits for largemouth, right? So I was like, all right, this is cool. He gave a bunch of tips. So I, like an idiot, bought a bunch of big swim baits. And the first one that I tied on, and it wasn't even like super expensive, but it's still like a $59.99 hard
So
bait.
$5, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, holy cow, I'm going to lose this thing. And I didn't. And I didn't lose it all day. I was so happy. I casted that. It was like a 1 ounce glide bait. I didn't lose it, thankfully. But every time I was like, man, how fast can I pedal my kayak to come get this thing? Because it was a slow sinking swim bait. So I'm like, I bet you I could haul ass and get there quick enough to be able to scoop that thing up with the net.
Our longest cast we've ever casted is the one where the lure came off. You're like, golly, I casted that a long way. And you go to start reeling. It's like, shit.
Actually, Paul, the longest cast I've ever cast is Yep, just like that.
Those are so good. Have you seen the guy that throws the bottom rigs?
Yeah.
Where he whips it around and throws it like 800 yards?
I think they're
That's
fake.
amazing.
I think they're fake.
I don't think they're fake, but I need to practice that next time I go surf fishing because I'm always trying to chunk it surf fishing. I never get it far enough. So I'm sure when I do that, I'm going to end up with 2 hooks in the back of my head and probably one in my back.
When was the last time you went surf fishing? I didn't know you could get your mobility scooter up onto the sand. That's pretty cool, Paul.
Wow, that's pretty wrong. I go surf fishing at least 1 to 2 nights a year.
1 to 2 nights a year. Is that when they have like a special boardwalk access where they'll carry you like a Make-A-Wish kid?
That would be fishing off the pier, not surf fishing. You know what? So Bebe's got to tell us her story. She does. She pushed it off on Tanya real quick and made her go first, so Bebe could like start thinking about what she was going to say. And now it's time for us to get the journey of what brought Bebe here.
So I don't, I needed to know how concise you wanted it, man. I can go in all kinds of crazy directions. So
we'll get there.
We've recorded episodes over 3 hours long. This is y'all's episode. You take it where you want to take it.
Tanya's way more exciting than I am.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Well, what's funny is if we have Tanya on any longer than 3 hours, she's going to show us how to make a shiv because she's got that prison background.
I mean,
Ooh, or how to cook one of those like prison meals, like, like with a bag of Doritos and like Splenda or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you've got it, baby.
Yeah.
You already
and a bag
know.
Of potato chips.
Hold on. I think we're way wrong on this. I think Bebe and Tanya met in prison is how this worked.
Oh, man. Well, so I also grew up in the Low Country. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, and I was the 3rd try for a boy. And you see how that ended up. So that's where the Bebe came from. I would have been Benny Booker Dalton III. And if y'all tried Booker's bourbon, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't, but hold on. That name sounds like an extra from the Dukes of Hazzard. It absolutely does.
That's probably accurate. Like we go back to the Dalton gang. Like I can trace back.
Oh, holy shit!
For real. So bank robbers, all that's
how you ended up in prison when you
met Tanya. This prison background this prison story is starting to come to fruition, and we were just joking, but there's some validity in this at this point.
I think there is. Hey, when you guys were in prison, did you ever see this? Was there ever at any point something like that there?
It was just like last week. It was fine.
Bebe's still on work release.
Hey, it's better. It's better than Windex. I can tell you that.
Well, so Dad ended up with 3 girls, and we all fished. So they, I grew up. I was in the water all the time. Right out here in Charleston Harbor. Crab Bank is a little island that was there and then washed away storms, and then they put it back. It's different now. But that Crab Bank was my backyard. I mean, that's where I spent my whole entire extra time, and I'm 5 blocks in from the water on 2 sides. So I fish all my friends' docks and all that stuff. But yeah, we would go out Saturday and Sunday. I know Dad he only fished with us. He wouldn't fish with friends. I remember he took the preacher fishing one time and hooked the biggest flounder he'd ever hooked. And it got off at the boat.
Oh.
And he felt like he couldn't say what he wanted to say.
Listen, I empathize with him right now. I know exactly what he's feeling right now.
He vowed really to never take friends or whatever fishing after that. It was like family only.
Was that a poor net job by the preacher?
It could have been. I don't have the details.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened.
Imagine? Can you imagine?
He was not happy. So when he was teaching us, so we like flounder. Flounders are like family fish. These are my flounder earrings. I don't know if you can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we were out after we kept trout and flounder. That's all we kept growing up. But he would tell us when we were fishing, if we hooked the fish, because we would wade, or sometimes we'd be in the boat, but we would anchor and then just wade, spread out. So if we hook a flounder, he would tell us back up, back up, back up. We would beach it because he didn't want to lose dinner. That's what it was. So that's how I grew up fishing. And never in a million years did I think that I would do something in the fishing world as a career. I mean, that's just what I did with my family. And I really didn't tell anybody. Like, one of my friends is the operations manager for Z-Man. And as an adult, he was like, I never knew you fished. And I was like,
oh my gosh,
like every day.
That's all I do.
And so, but yeah, so we what changed my trajectory was I thought I wanted to write for the Wildlife magazine. That's what I was thinking I wanted to do. But Camp Wildwood said, they took us. I was a guinea pig on the 3rd year program, which is a coastal program. And at that point, I was an advertising major at Carolina. An advertising major.
Hey, she means Little Carolina, aka South Carolina.
No, I mean Carolina.
What's
the real
what's
Carolina
the
is North Carolina.
What's the mascot of that?
Go Cox!
God, I hope AI picks up that for a clip.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the scuba shirts.
What?
The scuba shirts from Carolina. You know what they said?
What?
Wet cocks go deeper.
Hold on. Mom is listening to this young lady.
But they're Gamecocks.
What game?
You don't have to remove the game. You don't have to remove the game.
Listen, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Exactly. So anyway, I changed to marine biology and my mission was to go work for the DNR. I worked there for 10 years and started I started out in marine doing education, which they had already. And then the freshwater guys said, hey, we don't have anybody doing education. So they literally stole me and made me move to Columbia.
I heard it's hot there.
Yes,
the hottest
gateway
place
to
on
hell.
the planet. And but the freshwater guys were so nice and awesome, and I got to create something from scratch, which was amazing. It's still going strong, sort of. If you know anybody that wants a job, my old job is open right now. But I remember getting up there, and I've been saltwater fishing my whole life. I freshwater fished on occasion, but not really. And maybe bluegill here and there. But I remember they threw me straight to teaching a freshwater class. Now, I fished with worms when I was 6, 8, whatever. And they were like, here you go. I want you to show everybody how to put on a cricket. Well, I don't know that I'd ever put a cricket on, but I just totally faked it till I made it. And that's where I started really down my path for freshwater. After teaching those things and doing those women's retreats and all that stuff, I started doing, fly fishing. I mean, any kind of fishing, I'm in. any fish, any water, any fish. Yeah.
That's
So
putting a cricket on a hook is the same thing as putting a shrimp.
Well,
I mean, they're almost the same damn animal.
Well, that's true. And I did.
Shrimp?
I just remember. I remember just going, okay, I'm just gonna stick my hand in there in the cricket cage and just let them crawl over me and just kind of get over it and then start going, which I did. And so ever since then, I've been doing aquatic ed for over 25 years probably. And
that's insane that you've had so much success, but Paul went through the same program and he became the co-host on a failed podcast and a fourth string punter in college. That's like
if
his
it went
claim
for
to
Camp
fame.
Wildwood, I never would have made it on the shittiest fishing quote unquote fishing podcast on the internet.
Hey, you win some, you lose some.
Look,
all right, she's getting muted.
I've won a lot of stuff on this podcast, but I have never lost any money. Only Alex has lost money on this podcast.
All right, so we figured out the journey. I think we need to relax a little bit more.
Hold on, I got one question before we get there. I got one more question to wrap their journey together.
Yeah. How did you guys meet? Yeah.
Yeah. When did y'all know each other growing up? Because you weren't far apart. How did we get Bebe and Tanya down here as the dynamic duo?
Well, she may correct me. I don't know, but I think we kind of started seeing each other on social media a little bit because we were like, Hadrill's is the place, like I'll hang out at Hadrill's. It's like the bar. You just go hang out. But I remember, my Hadrill's is over here in Mount Pleasant, and her Hadrill's was over on West Ashley. So I would go over there every once in a while. But I remember going in there one day. I still have the bag that I bought. I was like, so what do you recommend for we kind of were like, oh yeah, I know you. And then I got her to show me what Z-Man she used, and she rigged it up and had it all rigged up and put one in the bag, kept it rigged up and everything. And it's so funny when she'll teach and she'll show that setup, I'll be like, that's the one I bought. and after that, we just started. We both have kind of the same mission to get women out on the water, and have partnered up on several occasions to do different versions of that. So, what else, Tanya?
Tanya, do you have a version that differs from BB's?
No.
Hey, are you on yard time right now? Can you talk about it?
Wait. I'm just looking behind me to make sure my peeps are watching my back.
She's not getting shanked.
I had to pay enough Doritos to make sure I could sit here. So, gummy bears, Doritos. Whatever it takes.
Somebody from prison is listening to this and emails us, and you can do that at bassandbrews@gmail.com and says that's not how it is. We don't use Doritos. It's Fritos, you dipshit. All right, as we're getting more comfortable here, I feel like we really need to hit our first kind of, if Bass and Brews is known for anything, it's just kind of drawing out those great answers from people. And, we're at the point where Joe Rogan is shaking in his boots because we're nipping at his heels. We're only I think he's at 5 billion listens. So, he's losing at least 10 listeners every time we broadcast. So, we're going to play we're going to play a fan favorite here. This is a childhood game. It's called Marry, Fornicate, or Kill. Do you guys know this game from when you were little?
I wanted to pick my own characters, man.
Oh, you are not picking none of these characters. Tanya, do you know this game? I'll explain it real quick.
I do not know this game.
All right, I'm going to give you 3 options, right? And you've got to pick one to marry, one to fornicate, one night stand style, and then one to kill. All right, since you're, actually, we're going to go with Bebe because she wanted to pick her own. So you get to be the spotlight because you put Tanya on it before.
Yes.
All right. Go. Here's your options. Bigfoot, aliens, or the Loch Ness. Bigfoot,
okay.
aliens, Loch Ness.
I was picking Thor and Aquaman, and I had some other
She just picked fornicate for all of them. She's like Superman, Aquaman, Thor, all of them. They're all good.
Sorry.
But these are actual real creatures, though.
Real. Okay.
We do. So again, we'll go over the options. Number 1, Bigfoot.
Okay.
Number 2, aliens. And number 3, Loch Ness. So those are your options.
Wow. Okay. I think I would marry Loch Ness because I feel like we wouldn't see each other that much.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So he's going to be used to Loch Ness is going to be used to you being locked up. Is what that happens.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Okay. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of the alien.
You're gonna kill an alien?
I'm just gonna have to kill that son of a gun. I don't know. He creeps me out. It's the eyeballs.
I gotcha. But this is the one that does it for you. I got
yeah. That's it.
Right
That's
there.
what I'm taking home at night.
Oh man.
I can't. That is not the first time we've had somebody marry the Loch Ness, but that is definitely by far the first time somebody wanted to marry the Loch Ness, so they would not have to see
so they
them.
wouldn't have to hang out with them. Solid. BB's also a marriage counselor. You can hit her up. Her theory is just don't be near me. Is her marriage theory.
Hey, I'll give you all my number. You just message me if you have any questions.
All right, Tanya, you already went through these. I mean, you saw it, so we can't give you the same one. So being a guide in South Carolina, we're going to go with, what do you guys call them? You guys don't call them sea trout, do you?
No. I'll go with this since I actually know the fish, and I don't call
It's
them
a trout.
stupid like a fluke. It's flounder, redfish, or trout.
There it is. That's what I was going to say, you asshole.
Well,
Just because you
were
got
probably
going to
call it a fluke.
On. I was going to call it a fluke.
We don't know what that is. That's a bait. That's a
bad.
lure. That's a lure that we use. We don't eat fluke down here. They're flounder.
All right, Tanya, there's your options. Flounder, redfish, or trout.
I mean, there's no question. I know that I'm marrying that redfish.
There you go.
I could answer that for her.
Mhm.
I mean, all day long.
Everybody likes a drum. It's got them sucker lips.
I mean, there's something about that little spot tail, and we all like a little tail. So,
That's right.
Hey-oh.
Hey-oh.
I'm going probably flounder. I'm going to fornicate with that flounder. I mean,
Yeah, you
one
are.
night he flat and I'm throwing him back, And that trout, oh, yeah, we're going to kill the trout. No doubt.
It's fine. I mean, you get to eat it. It tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing y'all don't live in North Carolina because you would not be able to keep any flounder in North Carolina this year if you lived here.
Closed. I'm going in 2 weeks.
Well,
and we'll catch a heck of a ton of them because we can't keep them.
Yep, you better go to Little River, and you can keep them in Little River.
Can I ask you something?
Ask away.
What are the white glasses? What's
When
that?
he's trying to impress you guys. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Look, I can't wear glasses. Why are you wearing glasses?
But I
can't wear glasses.
Are they like special because they're white? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
They're special because they're on his face.
It's because I can rub my eye easier because they don't have any lenses in
There's
them.
no lens in it. I told you. He just wore it to try to sound. He knew
You look
you
so
from
intelligent.
Exactly.
That's why I
he
wore
knew
it,
you.
because I
He
need
knew
to
you
look
when you guys
intelligent.
were kids, and he's trying to upsell his shit now. Oh, I can't
wanted
wait.
Sorry.
I wanted y'all to think that I actually learned something in high school.
Paul doesn't know this, but tomorrow we're recording Last Call with Alex and Paul, and I have such a doozy for Paul, and he has zero idea. But listen, let me tell you, I found a lot about Paul's history on the internet, and I spent a lot of time, and I found a good amount of pictures, some stats, some quotes. It is going to be an amazing time tomorrow night.
It's nothing that hasn't already been said on this podcast. Alex missed like 9 months of it, so
Well, listen.
mm-hmm.
All right, so
where were you going before BB interrupted us to ask about my stupendously awesome glasses that I'm wearing?
Who, me? I was going to say your glasses look stupid. So she didn't interrupt. She just cooperated.
At least I'm taller than my kids. At least I'm taller than my children.
Dude, my kid's as tall as the mailman. That's, oh, wait. Oh, that's
you
an
shouldn't
issue.
say that. Your wife works with the mailman.
She does. Oh, damn. All right, so would you both? All right, so you're doing, BB. Are you still doing Moe's freshwater? Or are you still like? Wait, what side are you on? Are you half and half?
I'm half and half probably.
Half and half. Okay.
You know, it's funny you were saying something about drop shot. I said we're gonna have to talk about drop shot, and we literally taught that last night.
Good job, Alex. Yeah, but it's probably a real drop shot with like a 3/4 ounce weight and a big old circle hook. It's not something on the little fairy one.
Drop
like
shot
me
is
throwing
amazing.
6-pound leader with a 1/4 ounce weight and a little
drop shot's amazing to catch anything. Saltwater side, you have like a high-low rig, which is just a double drop shot, basically, right? It catches fish, absolutely. It's also boring as shit. Like, it's just super boring. I get it. It catches fish. Awesome. Go do it. Like, I honestly don't care what anybody fishes with, but for me, I can't do it. I can't even fish a wacky rig properly because I have to fish it weighted because I don't have the patience for it. So,
well,
and that's like my number one bait is a weighted wacky rig, but not a wacky rig. It's got to be a weighted wacky 1/8 on a bait casting.
But in the ocean, when you throw that damn rig out there, you might catch a shark or a stingray. You have a better chance of catching something that pulls some drag and gets you excited instead of, maybe a 4 or 5 pound bass, which is fun to catch, especially on tournament day. But you might not, you ain't hooking no 6-pound damn black tip shark.
When?
Now that's what I
like me. I ain't hooking. But y'all, on the other hand, you can fish a drop shot out there. And
your bycatch is amazing.
Yeah, life is like a box of chocolates, man, out here.
As long as it's not a dogfish, right? You guys have dogfish, right? Those nasty POSs.
All right, like a toadfish.
No, a dogfish is like a shark, but it's not a shark. Yeah. Toadfish. I think toadfish look cool as shit. They're
always smiling.
They're always smiling because they're ugly as shit. They've just got the best, just the best outlook on life. Like, look at me. I look like a pile of shit with fins.
They're supposedly delicious.
Yep.
There's no way I'm eating it, but
I've had one.
Why are you not eating it, Tanya?
Oh no, man! Something that smells that bad and looks that bad.
Dude, it looks like something that comes out of that port-a-potty at the boat ramp that we were talking about on Sunday, right? It looks like
smell pretty awful.
They do. It smells exactly like the Bass and Brews blend of Astroglide. Make sure to check it out. Go to astroglide.com.
But they feel like they've got it on them. Those daggum toadfish for real.
I think
are those fish that you jiggle off the edge of the boat when you hook it? They don't come in the boat like you jiggle the hook out on the side. They don't reel that one in on the boat now. Lee, we gotta.
I do that with ladyfish. Ladyfish make a mess in the boat. They poop all over the boat.
They're like
what is a ladyfish?
They're the poor man's tarpon.
What?
That sounds like it's a fun ass fish to catch.
All right, it is. Let me tell you right now, viewers beware. Don't just Google ladyfish. You're not just gonna find fish. That is not what I expected.
Jump in the boat. They'll put on a show like tarpon, but
they look cool. But they smell ladyfish.
They just pink all over your boat.
Oh, ew.
No pooping in the
saltwater
boat.
Fishing's so gross. But it's like, all right, hold on. So like bass fishing is very like sterile in a way, right? Because we use artificial lures. Everything's cleaned out. Somebody's got like this really like cute little sea foam deck design on their boat, and it looks awesome with their 19 million screens for a fish finder, right? But then you go saltwater fishing, and there's blood, there's guts, there's everything kind of smells weird. Like just as a whole, everything just smells weird. And you could just be leaving the dock and it just smells weird. And even in like a kayak. So I did.
That's the mud. That's the fluff mud.
Yeah. Fluff mud.
Right. It's just everything. It's a little more primal. I dig it. I loved. I did some striper fishing a couple years back. Striper, toe tog, toadfish. We got all that out of the. And
He's up in New
triggerfish all
Jersey.
out of
He
the
actually
kayak.
gets to fish a little bit of salt water.
Yeah, a little bit. I got a trip in 2 weeks. I'm really excited. But everything is like brutal. You know what I mean? Like when the first time I went, I was like, "What do I need to bring?" And the guy, shout out to Joe 609 Fishing on YouTube. He was like, "I got you, man. Like I'll give you everything you need." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "All right, here's a bucket full of crabs. I'm like, what am I? Is this appetizers? Like, what am I supposed to do with this?" And he's like, "No, you just run that." Like we were running like jigs basically down on bridge columns, running down, catching striper and tautog and some triggerfish that way. And it's just brutal compared to, you're supposed to be a manly man and bass fish with my little rubber worm. I got my little rubber worm. It stinks a little bit, so I'm going to hang it off, and then I'm going to squirt my bait fuel, or Bass and Brews patented Astroglide. Anyways, you're going to spray that on the worm. You don't ever let it touch the deck of your boat because it's going to smell up the carpet, right? But again, you go to a saltwater boat, it smells gross. Everything's slippery for some reason. It's just slippery all over the place. But you have a good time.
Clean boats. We keep clean boats. But I will say this.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Tanya had that compliment last night.
I mean, I got a clean boat now. You guys will get on a cleaner boat.
And I just magic erasered ours just a little bit ago.
Oh my God.
What about halfway through a fishing trip?
That it might get a little gross then.
Is it gonna be stinky? Hopefully. Is it gonna be slimy?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's the hope. But having worked in saltwater and freshwater with different biologists, the freshwater guys are always like, when I'll send them pictures of like when I'm catching saltwater, and they're like, all of the saltwater fish look like they want to hurt you.
Yes. Yeah.
It's true. They all got teeth.
Yeah, I'm glad I started with freshwater because my first experience, I used to trout fish as a kid in Washington, and then I got into fishing late in life, and I was fishing for bass, and I caught a pickerel, and I thought it was going to be like a bass.
He means a jackfish, y'all. Down here in the South, we call them jackfish. He still will not call them by their right name.
I won't because it's a chain pickerel. Anyway, it's a water wolf. But anyways, I shoved, it's crappy, but I shoved my thumb in that like it was a bass, and it ripped. I still have the scars on my thumb. So thankfully, because we also have bluefish here in New Jersey, and those teeth are even more gnarly, thank God I didn't put my hand in that mouth because...
bit by a baby one, like on the boat last week, and I'm like, it was impressive.
Wait, what? You had bluefish bite a baby?
No, but yeah, it bit me, the baby.
Oh,
baby Captain Tanya.
I was like, wait, Captain Tanya's taking out babies getting bit by bluefish. That's bad advertising, girl.
Did that one get eaten? Because if a fish bites me and draws blood, it's coming home and hitting the fryer.
I'm not eating the bluefish. That's just not.
Oh, really?
Nah.
What fish do you're not eating the dogfish or whatever the stinky fish was? You're not eating bluefish. Is it just the redfish, the flounder, and the trout?
Well, I'll be honest. I've never eaten a redfish because when I started tournament fishing, that was a money fish. So that I kiss all those redfish and they go back. I'll eat a flounder and a sheep's head just because I think they're delicious.
Sheep's head is good.
I'm trout and flounder and a black sea bass every once in a while.
Yeah, but when you get to offshore fish, which I got spoiled once I started working at the tackle shop, I got to go quite a bit, and you eat mahi and tuna and wahoo. And
what about mackerel?
Snowy grouper. Nope, not going to eat a mackerel either.
Oh, so you don't like fishy tasting fish?
I
don't like oily fish?
No, do not. If it tastes fishy, it's not going in my pile.
I don't want it to taste fishy. That thing's going in buttermilk as soon as it gets filleted. Yeah. But I will say, I took the boys to the Keys. I have 3 boys, and all they wanted to do was eat something.
Hold on, time out. Grandpa must be so mad. All he wanted was your dad. All he wanted was a boy, and he got 3 girls, and then you have 3 boys. And he looks at him, and he's like, "You could have been mine."
Exactly. And then, I couldn't name one Benny Booker doll. So I gave him the Dalton part, but golly, no. I think my mom was more disappointed I didn't name one Benny or Booker. Not even Benjamin, but like the legit name is Benny Booker. We have a cat named Benny now.
There you go. Hey,
is that with a
somebody's
Y
carrying it
or an I?
I-E.
Oh.
Okay. Forgot that's super southern. Yeah, you got to throw the IE.
Well, so that my granddaddy, the original BB Dalton, was an OBGYN in North Carolina, and he from Asheboro. He delivered over 8,000 babies in North Carolina.
Yep, and that was just his side job. He just did that for fun.
And I got a picture of him with a gator trout on a bottle of wine. They put it on a bottle of wine for some reason. But anyway, when we went to the Keys, I caught a Spanish mackerel, and that was the only thing that we caught.
It was so good.
Big enough to
So
eat.
good.
So we ate it.
How was it? Was it delicious?
Actually, so we took it to Lazy Days. I don't know if y'all have heard of that place. Mm-hmm. It's right there in Isla Morada, and you can take your catch there and they'll cook it for you. So they cook it 3 different ways. Cool. Yep. Lazy Days way, which is amazing, and then fried, and then like lemon pepper or something like that. And it wasn't my favorite. I mean, I tried all the flavors, but it's a mackerel. It's oily, but the boys were super thrilled that they were like, "We got, we ate awesome.
Hell yeah!" No, there's nothing cooler than catching a fish and then like cooking it right afterwards. Like there's something really cool about that sensation. I get about I don't eat bass, largemouth bass, right? But there is something cool about like catching a big fish or any fish and then you get to eat it. It's something like I think triggers in everybody, right? Like I went out there, I put in work.
Trigger.
Yeah,
I look at it as grocery shopping.
Yeah,
catch some groceries. Tanya, when you go out, do you keep some for people to eat, or is it catch and release, or is it based off of what the group you're taking out want to do?
It's obviously not catch and release because she's still in jail. So it's just catch and stay.
Well, it depends on how much the palm gets greased, So I'm actually a huge proponent for catch and release, just because I've seen, kind of what's happened to our population here, especially with our flounder and our redfish. And so typically I just try to educate the client before they book with me, and just let them know, look, I'm not against you keeping fish. I do tell people right away, I fish out of a flats boat. I do not have the means to clean your fish on my boat, so Tanya does not clean your catch. So you want to keep something, great, bring a cooler, you can take it home or have somebody else do it, but I don't do it. And then I do have 2 live wells on the boat. So typically I will keep, any fish that they potentially want to, have for dinner, keep them in the live well. And then when we get to the dock at the end of the day, I say, hey, all right, guys, are you sure you want these fish? And 9 times out of the 10, they go, I don't really want to go home and clean these fish and have it tonight. And so we kiss them and we put them back in the water.
Nice.
And it just, it works out that way. So, again, I just ask for people to be mindful, and, I'm just very, there's never any, I just don't ever try to tell people that they can do something or don't do something. I just say, look, I'm not the kind of captain that's going to take you out to fill the cooler for the day. That's just not what I do. You want to do that, I can give you the A, B, and C. They're fine with doing that. It's not my cup of tea. I just, I'm here to teach people, hopefully put you on your first fish, your best fish, or, improve your skills and, have a great day out there, but definitely not to fill up the cooler by any means.
So I like that from the standpoint that you're teaching some conservation in when you're taking folks out, and it sounds like you're taking a lot of newer anglers out and BB, with our background with Kent Wildwood and the fishing and the education part, you're taking people out maybe their first trip or their second trip early on in their fishing journey, and you're getting them to understand that you don't keep and eat everything. You're teaching them the conservation side of it, which is super important for our waters, because shit ain't getting easy for the fish out there with everything that's going on.
But like that's got to be tough, right? Because I think when I go on a saltwater charter, right? I want to fill a cooler, right? Like that's got to be tough to like that kind of I applaud you for that, because that kind of like segments you out of some folks who are like, if I'm going to pay all this money, I at least want to come home with dinner for a night or two, right?
And I've had it happen once. You know, they were actually folks that I knew that didn't realize I was actually doing charters, and they happened to book with me, and we started talking about it. And I said, "Hey, look," I was like, "I don't clean fish," and they're like, "Well, we were hoping to have dinner tonight." Blah blah. I said, "Well, here's the other thing: is like, I don't have the crystal ball to guarantee we're even going to be able to keep what we catch, because first of all, we got to catch something that's legal." And then we got to back up even more, and it's called fishing. I tell people catching is a bonus.
Right.
I mean,
Alex and I understand that 100%. We do a lot more fishing than catching.
Listen, me and Paul and I are expert fishermen. We are dog shit at catching, but we're expert at the act of fishing.
Look, we can do a lot of casting.
Yes. Yes, yeah, we can cast a line. We can get a lure down there. Is anything going to happen? Probably not. And thankfully, Paul just donates money to tournaments, and I just have to pay for the podcast. It's kind of where we're at this point.
Yeah, it's a break even. You're also different too, Tanya, because you're not going out to the Gulf Stream to fish for mahi and wahoo and stuff like that. So it is also a different perspective when they come out there, where you're not going out there to go 3.5 hours to the Gulf Stream and catch these, those type of fish to bring back, where typically people think of fishing charters, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit different being there and then on the inlet side of it.
Yeah, I mean, people are taking an offshore charter. You got a group of however many, folks it is. You're probably looking at, $1,200 to $2,000, depending on where you're going, how long you're going. So sure, you'd expect, or at least hope to have, some fish to bring back, for a meal or to put in the freezer. But, inshore fishing, it just, I mean, there's folks that do it, and
when you're offshore, you're gaffing that thing in there. You can't release that.
Well, here's the other good thing: when you go fishing with Tanya, y'all, you don't have to worry about puking the whole time. You're not worried about paying $800 and throwing up the whole time you're out there. You're going to go with Tanya, and you're going to be in some nice, decent water. You're not going to be throwing up the whole time. You're not going to have to worry about Dramamine and all that stuff. You're going to be fine.
Do you guys want to know the trick instead of using Dramamine? Because everybody gets sleepy on that, right? So here's the trick. You do a double dosage of Tylenol and a triple dosage of ginger. You combine those two, and it's like the same effect as Dramamine, except for no drowsiness.
Yeah, but don't hook yourself, because you're going to bleed out because your blood's thin from all the Tylenol.
Well, one, you're on a charter, so your blood's already thin from all the bush lights on the way out. So it's already.
That's what I was going to say. The one offshore trip that I took for my bachelor's party, the only two that didn't throw up.
Your bachelor's party? Is that when you got your bachelor's degree? Dipshit.
Yeah, well,
okay.
At least I got one. Anyway.
All right, cool.
That touche. Are you going to compliment me on that since you set yourself up?
I did. I didn't think we were going to get it. I thought the
only two that
didn't
fake. Throw up out of the 6 of us that went, well, besides the captain and his first mate, were the 2 that drank the whole night, didn't sleep, and got on the boat and started drinking. They were the only 2 that didn't get sick.
Your body's already loose. You're already loosey-goosey at that point, right? Like DUI crashes, it's never the driver. It's never the drunk driver, right? Because they're already loosey-goosey.
Tell you a funny story about my bachelor's party, too. We make it out to the Gulf, 3-hour ride or something, and it wasn't too terribly bumpy, but it was going. Look, we get there, the boat idles down and stops, and when it does, I feel it coming. So I go to make it off the side of the boat, and I run into one of the damn rails on the boat with my left eye, and I split it open. Luckily, it wasn't bad. I kind of glanced off of it a little bit, but I sure as shit split my eye open on my bachelor's party like 2 weeks before my wedding.
Oh, my God. You know how many kids I took to the emergency room? I used to work on the Yorktown. and all those airplane wings on the flight deck of the Yorktown. And those little kids, we would say, don't run on the flight deck. Every
non-skid,
weekend.
right to your face. Non-skid.
One kid had to get 3 layers of stitches out of
Oh, my God. That would end my career of doing anything with taking kids out on the Yorktown. That'd be it. I don't do blood. I don't do mine. I don't do yours. Like, I'm a proponent of wearing your life vest because we kayak fish primarily just for safety. And I do it because if I ever get a hook in my hand and it's deep, I'm probably going to pass out before I can like pull myself together and take some deep breaths. But yeah,
I remember
you might surprise yourself.
No, I know. I've almost passed. I almost passed out from a TB test. It was years ago. I was a senior in high school, and they poked me with the TB test, and I didn't feel good. I did pass out. Almost passed out getting blood drawn, and then I broke a tendon in my hand, in my finger. When they took the cast off, I saw the 2 little pins sticking out my finger. I passed out from that. That was like, it was terrible. I don't do blood.
This is ammo.
I don't do that.
This is ammo. I love it. I remember it was my oldest daughter. She was like 1 at this time, and I just come back from deployment, and my wife, they come to greet the boat, and it's all like this big fanfare. And you have this giant, this big flight deck full of non-skid, exactly like what you're talking about. You fall, you're going to lose skin, right? So my wife let her go to like run to me, and I was like, yo, don't stop. And I remember I ran up to her to like, and as I'm running up, some other kid is running up to their parent, and they fell. And there is just blood everywhere. And my daughter at the time was 1.5, and she just stopped and looked at it and shook her head, no, and then walked slowly to me. So at like 1.5, she was like, listen, that's bad news. You don't F around because you're going to find out at some point. Also, I remember being super drunk in Victoria, British Columbia. We how that pier worked is the brow from like downtown Victoria, British Columbia, which if you guys have never been there, it's amazing. It's a great town to party in. I was a single man, and also so you guys know, it's a 75 to 25% ratio. There's 75% women in Victoria, who's awesome. They have 4 female-only colleges. It was an amazing night.
Okay, get to the story. You're rambling along like an old man.
I am. I am an old man now. But anyways, I come home. I'm all hammered. I take the brow up to the flight deck. I get through that safely. And then there's like stairs that go from the flight deck down to the fantail of the ship, right? So I'm like, hey, I slide down these all the time by like hooking my, underarm there and slide down. I could do this, right? I've only been drinking for 9 hours, and I go to slide and my feet hit and I launch forward and I hit hands first, and everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I go, I'm good. And as I'm clapping, there's just blood splattering. I like ripped all the skin on my palms. It was gnarly. Non-skid is no joke. It's gross. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was
Speaking
awful.
of getting hooked, Tanya, have you ever had any hook incidents out on any of your charters? Being around, especially with new people fishing?
Fortunately, not with any of my clients. I mean, I've had close calls. The actually one and only time that I have had a hook in my hand was fishing by myself. I was on an epic trout bite and fishing with some little subsurface baits, hard baits with trebles. And thankfully, it was a brand new mirror. And I had a trout on, went to get the hook out, and I knew as soon as that trout shook that hook was going in my hand. And all I said was, please God, let it be all the way through and not partially through.
Right.
And it was, and thankfully, being new, it did. It went all the way through my hand, and I do keep some big old nips on the boat, and I got the fish off and got my big nips out, clipped off the treble, cleaned it off. I do keep a little soap on the boat and a little water, and then I proceeded to go back to fish because it was an awesome bite.
I'm gonna tell you what. I called Paul a wuss earlier. If I hook myself with, I'm passing out. Yep. I'm passing out, and I'm gonna pass out in the weirdest way possible. Even when I have a PFD, I'm still gonna be face down, and it's gonna be over with. I actually legitimately, for the most part, stray away from treble hooks for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very attentive now. I mean, I took before and after pictures. I mean, it was definitely, it was, but I still fish with them, but I am changing out to a lot of single hooks now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say, do you guys use a lot of SP minnows and things like that, right? You guys are using kind of like the standard gear, right? You guys use SP minnows down there or no?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what an SP minnow is. I mean,
it's like go ahead.
I mean, I'm fishing a lot of Rapala baits. The Mirror, Yozuri.
Okay. Yeah. So like the Yozuri, I swapped for striper. I swapped out the treble hooks for nothing but single hooks because I'm so petrified of passing out in my kayak and dying because I stabbed myself. Just a little bit.
This is why you need to send me the damn crankbaits, Alex, because you're never going to throw them.
I don't have your crankbaits. I don't know where they're at.
One of the things
I want to ask y'all about the treble. So like I did the same. I mean, it was probably like right at the same time. I was by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a conference. I got up for everybody and fishing that topwater morning bite and had a trout. Got a picture of it on the dock. I'm always like doing I got to have a fish picture for every fish. And so, and the same thing happened. I went to take the hook out so I could take a picture, and it flopped and it sunk into my middle finger. And there was, I remember thinking, now, how am I going to hold it up for the photo? Because one's in the fish and one's in me. And I was thinking, and then I was like, oh, fine, I guess I'm not going to get my selfie. And then I was trying to figure out how to YouTube the thing where you wrap the line around.
Yeah, with the braid. Yeah.
I was texting my friend to come help. And it didn't work out. So,
hey, when that treble hook.
Hold on. Not only that, you got a fish still attached to the lure and it in your hand.
And I did release it. I got it out. I got the fish off the other hook. Released the fish. I actually kind of chucked it because I was mad. But I did not do a gentle release.
All conservation
fish, get out of here.
All conservation went out the window.
She punted it. She punted it longer than my 8-yard punt.
Exactly.
I did. So I walked into the breakfast, and I'm just holding my hand down. I was like, "Hey, this girl named Jennifer was in there. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to run to town." She was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, I held up my hand. She goes,
hold on.
Let me drive you.
Hold on. Time out. You caught said fish, released it violently, and then you cut it off the line and then went to breakfast with just
Yes. I was like, I'm going to need some help. So she's like, let me drive you. So we go to doctor's care. This was at Spring Island, like in Beaufort. We go to doctor's care. The doctor's care is like, great, come straight in and sit down. I came in. The lady goes, nope, get out. And she sent me to the hospital.
Damn.
Yep.
Get out.
Went to the hospital. And the guy was like, we see this all the time. And I was like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, we see this. And he said, well, I'm going to have to ruin the lure. And I said, why? And he goes, well,
this episode is now called, When Being Country Gets Too Country.
I said, why? And he said, well, I'm going to have to cut the hook off. And I said, oh, good. Don't ruin the lure. It's fine. I can replace the hook. And then they sedated it. It didn't go numb all the way. And I was a little freaked out by that. And he came back by and I said, listen, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you understand this Yozuri has its saltwater hooks and they're a little thicker than the freshwater hooks. Like, are you sure you have something strong enough to get this?
She's still educating at this point. She's still like, hey, just so you know, saltwater hooks, the gauge is a little bit bigger.
But he was a champ. They taped the other one down so it didn't hook anything. We got it out. He had his picture made with me.
I like how she's like, he's a champ. No, you're a champ for going through all that, not him.
I would have been on
Vegeta job at this point.
I would have been on a damn gurney with oxygen. Yeah. Probably in and out of consciousness.
Yes. They didn't even have a room. They literally did it in the hallway.
I was
on a gurney in the hallway.
I would have asked for my lawyer because I'm writing a will. Like, it's over. I'm done. It's been a good run at this point. I'm now deceased.
And you know what? They're going to yank that hook out of you, and they'll be like, all right, when was your last tetanus shot? And you're going to go, I don't know. And then they're going to jug you with a big-ass tetanus needle. I can't do it. Look, anytime I go fishing on a boat with somebody that I've never been on with or somebody new, I don't even hardly fish for a while because I'm like making sure they're not going to smack me and rip my ear off. Or I mean, I got big ass ears too, so it's like if they get close, it's probably going to catch one of my damn ears.
Well, and I've worked with so many volunteers and so many people doing things. Like one guy was a professional bass angler, helping with the kids, doing a kids program. And we're telling the kids, hey, look behind you before you cast, 100 times. And he just, whipped it and it caught me in the arm. And it wasn't a treble hook, thank goodness. It was, it wasn't bad. But I was just like, I went up and put my hand on him. I said, hey, we're telling these kids to look behind them before they cast. Make sure you do that. He goes, I did that. And I was like, clearly not.
Yeah. Sometimes they get real. I'm a big proponent of Heroes on the Water, right? They take veterans out to go kayak fishing. And I went to an event late last year. And it was a really good event. But there's one guy who was trying to teach these veterans to fish, right? And there was a couple folks who weren't like super confident, so they wanted to be in a sit-in kayak, and he's trying to explain to them, here's how you stand up in it. And I was like, whoa, what are we? Absolutely not. And I couldn't help it. And I was like, yo, no, not at all. And he was like, listen, man, this is my 12th event. I've taught this all the way through. And I'm like, that's just bad. And I have not been asked to go to another one. It's still a great organization, but I really don't recommend ever standing in a sit-in. That's not a good idea.
Speaking of that, have y'all do a bunch of inshore fishing? And so it's like being on a lake.
Yep.
Same kind of, you can see land, right?
On a lake with a current.
Right. This is what I'm getting at. What's the scariest? Have y'all ever been like a little scared, and you've been out there with people where you can't show them you're scared? You're in charge, you're the captain. Have you ever been out there and been like, this is a little scary. I'm a little afraid right now.
Tanya's got no answer for this. She's 5 martinis deep, and she's just on cell block release. She's got no answer.
Yeah, but my olives were stuffed with the best Saint Augier cheese ever. So
that is,
I love stuffed olives.
I just want to be clear. That is the fanciest drink we've ever had on this show. It's mostly like beer,
White Claw
bourbon sometimes. There's a lot of White Claw normally. Bebe, what are you drinking over there?
Well, I told all my friends that I was going to tell you I was drinking a Rosewater Ricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
What is that?
Clearly, y'all don't watch Big Bang Theory. It is not what I'm drinking.
Okay.
But that's what Sheldon ordered, just to make it difficult for Penny to have to go Google how to make it. So that is not what
like
I'm
a
drinking.
Shirley Temple.
No, it's something with rosewater and probably gin. I'm not sure.
Bebe took the nerd level to the next level at this point.
A Rosewater Ricky, just so I could hear it. I was trying to gauge. I know you do movie stuff, and I was like, does he watch The Big Bang Theory? Clearly not.
Well, I did, but I don't remember. Look, y'all saltwater people are something else. We got martinis with Algier cheese stuffed olives, and BB's drinking gin.
She's not. She's basically drinking Boone's Farm, but the fancy version.
Exactly. Pineapple. I wanted to try it. I drink pansy fruity drinks. I don't drink beer. I drink a lot of Jello shots. I like Jello.
Oh hell yeah! Now you talking about game? You need to try you some White Claw Surge.
This is obviously. Hold on, this is obviously
got 8 alcohols in it.
This is obviously a saltwater angler where she goes, I drink White Claw and Jello shots. Like nobody goes to a bar and goes, can I get a Jello shot? She's used to sitting in a back bay, slack tie.
That's right.
You just gotta nudge that boat up into some shoal water. Like,
well, so have y'all been to ICAST?
Yeah,
no, we're not that famous. No, we're not that famous.
No. One time I had a booth. One time it was like I'm still paying for it. It was a few years ago.
Wait, you had your own booth?
But I had my own booth.
That's
and under the
awesome.
table, because people do those they sponsor happy hours like Costa and some of these big places. Z-Man has a happy hour now and stuff. But I was ghetto happy hour, and I had underneath the table I had mini bottles in the cooler, and I had Jello shots in the cooler. So if you came by my booth during happy hour, you could reach under the table and get.
Where was this during the Bassmaster Classic 2 years ago, BB? When I was there, you were outside in the hot sun around the catfish pond, and I would have slurped down a Jello shot or 9.
She got called out because that's a sanitation issue. You don't sell Jello shots to the public. That's a family event only. You don't just
I know why you had airplane bottles too. You had a Jello shot that was half full of Jello. And then you poured a little bit of that shot of the liquor on top of it. I bet you had a line out the door for yours.
I think she just took one of those snack packs of Jello, right? And just threw that shit into a cup with 3 shots and everybody just drank it.
I can't do that anymore. I'm out of that business now.
I am looking at this rose. I am looking at this rose water Ricky.
Did you find the recipe?
I did. Dude, this actually looks fucking good. And I might make it up in honor of you. Maybe we'll introduce this episode tomorrow when it releases.
Oh, we need to, send me the recipe. And if it's not too crazy, if I don't have to go buy a bunch of stuff, we'll make them and drink them during the Patreon
tomorrow. No, I was thinking we should both do it on the Friday that this episode releases and our reaction. Yeah, next week.
It does have gin.
Yeah. So it's 3 ounces of gin. So that's like 2 shots. 1 bar spoon of rose water. Who knows what the fuck or the frig that is. And then a 1/2 ounce of fresh lime. And then you also have brandied cherries, sugar, and Augusta Store mist. We're not going to be able to do the mist.
Augusta Store bitters.
Well, mine says mist. Mine says mist.
I can only drink one of those because 2 will definitely give me gout. I will get a gout flare up if I drink more than one of those.
All right, Paul, I'm going to send this to you. We're going to make this drink and have first reactions. And we're going to do like a dual video where you do it and I do it. And it's going to be like you in the top and me in the bottom. Right, of us doing it to introduce this episode.
That sounds great. I'm down. I'm down.
We probably won't. That's a lot of pre-planning, and we're
that's a lot of stuff that I will never drink again. I mean,
actually, so
I do have some potatoes. Give me a couple weeks. I'll make some gin.
Potatoes?
Yeah, gin's made from taters.
Okay. My new favorite summer drink. When the Masters came around, right? That's close to you guys. That's Georgia. The azalea drink was real popular on TikTok, right? Have you guys seen that drink or no?
Uh-uh.
All right, so it's 2 shots of Tito's, and then the equivalent of 2 shots of pineapple juice, and then 1 shot of 1 shot of lemon juice, and then you drizzle grenadine in it, right? It is my new favorite drink. It's amazing. I drank it at our Memorial Day party. I also ended up with no pants or shirt halfway through our cornhole tournament because it is a sneaky, little sneaky Pete. It'll get you.
Now you lost pants or shirt, or you don't remember which ones you lost, or you lost both.
I lost the pants first. I do remember that because my shirt was a hot dog American flag tank top. And then when we went to my wife, Amanda, the mail lady.
Hot dog shirt.
No, it was just a regular brown one. I didn't have a red one because I'd love to have some bright leaf. I really want to try bright leaf, to be honest, but they come nowhere close to New Jersey.
I'll mail you some.
Sweet. I love mailed sausage.
I'll mail you some bright leaf red rockets, and you mail me my crankbaits.
Yep. All right. Let me get your red rocket first, and then you'll get your crankbaits. But her family does big like family events for summer parties, right? So there was like 50 Polak Italians rummaging around this yard, and we do this big cornhole tournament. And we got to the final, and so the semifinal, I took my pants off because it was hot. But I still wanted to honor the troops. And then by the last round, it just had to be like full, it's game mode. So the shirt came off, but then we bought a bunch, like we were talking about in text, we bought a bunch of that paint that you do like eye black with, right? We talked about that for soccer with the kids, right? So I bought that then. So then I covered my body in this eye black. We lost, unfortunately, and it was a long shower.
Could you even see where you were throwing the bean bags?
I think I overheated because I don't think that lets you sweat well. Yeah, but they won the trophy. We do a big deal where we get like a trophy made. These summer parties are amazing.
Great fishing story. Great fishing story.
We're not always talking about fishing.
Well, I want to ask you a question about the well, not necessarily the crankbaits, but like the topwater. We were talking about it, finding them in our fingers and stuff. Yep. So has anybody fished, like taken that front hook off and fished with just the back hook? I mean, has anybody ever tried that?
Hell no. I'm not going to decrease my chances of catching a fish by taking a hook off. I'm trying to add some more damn hooks on that frigate.
I have.
Well,
BB, I ain't taking the hooks off of my look. I'm adding them. I'm putting bigger ones. I ain't taking you crazy. I tournament fish. I can't take hooks off. I'm not going from treble hooks to single hooks either. Hell no. It's treble hooks with all the barbs. Like
if I'm fishing a tournament, I would do that. But I'm just messing around.
Paul fishes a Texas rig, Senko, with a stinger hook and behind that an extra treble hook. Like that's how bad he is at catching fish.
Yeah.
No,
I ain't decreasing my chances. Hell no. I need all the help I can get.
So surf striper guys that I know do fish like the Yozuri with no front treble, but they add a stinger to the back of the treble on that one. So they get rid of, instead of two trebles, they go one treble, but a stinger hook on the back end.
Okay.
Do y'all have any striper? Did the striper run up into y'all's area at all? No, any saltwater striper y'all get?
Yeah, you can go up in the Cooper River and catch striper. Yep,
but not really out into the harbor.
No,
so you got to go all the way up into the Cooper, close to Moultrie.
Yeah, I mean up to Tailrace Canal, but I mean definitely in the Cooper. And you're not going far up the Cooper.
But those are all hybrids, right? Or are they true sea stripers?
They're stripers.
Yeah.
Okay. And the stripers are bred, like they're raised right there in Bono. And those stripers go all over the world.
Yeah.
And I got to stir the babies.
That's cool as shit. Yeah.
Stir the babies.
We did that last year.
Oh yeah. Tanya was there. Tanya got to go do it.
Yeah. You guys were stirring babies together?
We were. Yeah.
Making baby stripers.
My senior year of high school, my first 2 period classes was me working at the Sherall Fish Hatchery.
That's cool.
My senior year in high school, sure enough, I would get up there and
That's a lot for a geology degree.
Well, I wanted to be a fish biologist, and then
but you're too dumb.
I went to a school where they didn't have it, and also you got to be real good in math and chemistry and those bullshit things that have a lot of numbers in them.
Things that are necessary.
Data.
Yeah, I mean, we ain't into that. That's why I quit being a geologist, because like you got to take math 21 or something, the second level math. Hell, it took me twice to pass the first math class, and I think the TA felt bad for me and gave me my C-.
It's because you wear glasses with no lenses, dipshit.
I didn't have these then, though. I had contacts in that I probably took out once every 6 months. It was horrible.
Did you like the fish hatchery?
Oh God, I love working at the fish hatchery. It's the most fun. It's the most fun class I've ever had in my entire life. And let me tell you,
going there and watching those guys pick up the little frogs on the side of the tank and chucking it in the bass tank and then watching them swarm.
I learned more about fish and doing that for that semester. Now, those guys up there is a bunch of old guys too. I say a bunch, it was 3, and they were old. But they put my ass to work when I got out there. I was doing all the stuff that they didn't want to do, but I was all for it. It was good. It was a good time. I learned a bunch about fish. And
I learned how to shoot a Glock there.
Shoot a rock.
Glock.
Glock.
I learned how to shoot a Glock.
Look, if anybody knows, this is Cheraw, South Carolina. It's in the middle of Chesterfield County. Ain't much in Chesterfield County, and the fish hatcheries out there, man. It's but they had some Santee strain largemouth. This would have been 2000. They had some Santee strain largemouth that were their female largemouth that they bred, and they were huge. They were big, man. When you were separating those fish out by the end of the day, you talk about having bass thumb. I mean, your hand would be hurt. It'd be so tore up. That was a good time. Good time.
It's a good time.
Love working at the hatchery. Do y'all do work at the hatchery often, or is that just every now and again you get to go do that?
Oh, when Tanya and I went, they do a thing where they invite members of the fishing industry that are based in South Carolina to really kind of show, people that are manufacturers, they pay an excise tax. So like, for example, Z-Man or Shimano or whatever, they write a check at the end of the year, an excise tax check that goes to DNR basically. And so they do a thank you basically and show them, this is where your money goes. And so we get to go out there and see the fish lift, and they electroshock some fish, and we do that, help them with the spawning. Well, I say help loosely because we hinder probably more than we help, because they
I'm about to say, to help, do you guys roll in with like Barry Manilow playing or something like real sexy?
Some nice candles.
Drop. Yeah.
Little mood lighting.
Get it on.
Now that's all I can picture. All I can picture is Paul in these stupid fucking glasses. Sorry, I dropped it. There's one. I dropped the full F-bomb. No. I cut them all off. I didn't get the full K. It was just a fluke. But it's Paul in these glasses just singing Luther Vandross to this.
I do have a question about these. Are these all saltwater fish that they're doing and releasing there? What kind of fish are they breeding and releasing at the Bono Fish Hatchery down there in Charleston, right?
So Bono is stripers, shad, herring, I think. Don't quote me on this. I haven't worked there in a long time. But they do more freshwater there, or anadromous, and they have it. So at that fish lift, that's where the fish it's a passage. Mm-hmm. And so they have an eel ladder where the eels can like go up.
American eel can move up through. Yep.
So it is neat to see the fish pass through. But at the hatchery, I think they're doing, at that particular one, that's the striper hatchery. And then they have, I think it's shad. I think it's American shad. They're growing there. And then the other hatcheries have like bass, brim, catfish. And then we have one fresh or one cold water hatchery. And that's where we stayed for second year for Camp Wildwood.
That fish lift sounds like a great place to take a cast net.
Unfortunately, they don't allow that.
You degenerate.
I'm just kidding.
It's also a great place to take the shocking boat.
True. Well, that
would be the best spot, right? When they're super vulnerable, just run that thing up there. We got them.
Well, you hear people all the time, like in the Northeast where you are, Alex, when they're releasing the trout, everybody wants to go fish at the trout truck.
Yeah,
they do that in South Carolina too. They follow the truck, and then they helicopter stock it.
Oh, no kidding. I bet that's cool.
That is always my favorite when, because in Washington they do that too. They'll not even helicopter. They'll C-130 stock these things, right?
God.
So it's a fixed wing, and they'll drop them in the potholes of Eastern Washington. Potholes are like a group of like 9 different lakes all together, right? And they'll drop these things, but other states do helicopter, all this, right? But then they go like, hey, when you handle these fish, you got to be real delicate because they're a very delicate animal that you just airdropped from like 1,000 feet up. Like they are dropping into a Fortnite session. I said Fortnite because I'm trying to get a younger audience. But anyways, like they'll drop them in.
Your stories have been exceptionally long tonight, is all I'm saying.
But anyways, like they'll drop them in and it's like, are you kidding me? But then they're also like, oh, if you touch that fish without a glove, you're gonna remove the slime. Like you just drop that MFer from like 9 feet up. Like settle down. They'll be all right.
Well, when it comes to the management side, I'm gonna throw this in to be like that devil's advocate because I totally get it because we do videos of the kids like carefully releasing the buckets of trout as they
it is important to do that for wild trout 100%.
But then the truck is they're getting the rest out and they're literally they've got the nets and they're just flinging them over. And so I mean, but in all fairness, and talking about harvesting fish and people taking fish and some mortality after tournaments and stuff like that, that's why we have these folks managing those fish. I mean, they know there's a mortality rate. So if that fish is legal, you can take it. I mean, that's why those folks are making those rules and making those laws. So we talk about it.
We talk about it all the time on here that there's a limit for bass because nobody wants to eat largemouth bass, and we talked about it. I won't get on this horse and ride it, but we do not eat enough largemouth bass. People throw too many of them back. We don't eat enough. We need to be eating the largemouth bass, and especially the Alabama spotted bass. You need to eat more bass. You keep your bass, you can keep 5, and there's a reason why they say you can keep 5 because we need to keep them. You need to keep them and eat them. That's why you take all your kids fishing and let them run around on the bank. So if you got like 4 or 5 kids running around there and yourself, you can keep 20, 25, 30 like nice little 14-inch bass and eat them, and they're delicious and they make a great meal. I mean, even though the deep fried eggs from an 8+ pound bass are delicious.
My favorite though is being from the West Coast and then coming to the East Coast is seeing how people are so protective over farm raised rainbow trout that are stocked that are going to die by the end of the year. Right? They're so protected. They feel like they're in Montana and they're just protecting this like huge resource, right? And it's like those fish are going to die. It gets so damn hot on the East Coast, right? That's why they're not there. And they're in the West Coast, right? Like, and there is stocking on the West Coast, right? But you can tell those because they're dumb. They basically swim sideways. They're like, they're the stupidest fish ever, right? And you normally, you definitely harvest them because they're stupid. You don't want them to repopulate with the wild bows, right? So you leave them alone, right? Well, they don't because they're too dumb. They just repopulate into their mouth. But yeah, on the East Coast, everybody's like, oh yeah, like again, like somebody will show a rainbow in New Jersey, and they're like, oh my god, you didn't wear gloves, like the slime. There's no rainbows here. Shut up. There's
Hey,
none
I do have
here.
a quick. I know we're getting close to
Hate
the
it.
end, and we got to wrap this up.
We
I
are.
got one question for Tanya, and it goes back to the fishery because we alluded earlier about the North Carolina saying that no recreational angler could keep flounder here. And Tanya did talk about her conservation side of it and seeing some decline in the fishery around there. I keep saying Tanya, damn it, Tanya.
Tanya, there. She
Hey,
specifically told you prior.
You've been doing this for a while. What does the fishery look like in the low country? You alluded to it earlier. Do you see a decline in some of those main three species we'll talk about that you fish for, the red, the flounder, and the trout? Are you seeing any kind of decline with that, or is this something that is carrying up and down the East Coast? Is it generally located in certain areas? What are you seeing being out on the water?
I can definitely say there's been an impact to the decline in both redfish and flounder. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just in the last 10 years is I think is where we are starting to, have started to see that. There's areas, I mean, clearly we know fish, they grow up and they leave, but those populations should be getting restocked and they should be, those fish should be spawning. And, I think a big problem that's happening here with our redfish is people come here to fish for our big bull reds because it has gotten to be so popular. And, those fish are coming in and they're spawning, but they got to eat. And, when those fish get caught and you interrupt that spawn, it doesn't happen. And, it's becoming a problem. I mean, as a charter captain, people love to catch bull redfish. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do too. But it is, I think, starting to have an impact here. And if we aren't more mindful of it, and I'm not saying Big Brother needs to get his hand in it necessarily, but we got to start thinking about doing things probably a little sooner than later, because it's gonna become such a problem that I do believe that we're going to have a generation down the road where we might not, have that.
Well, it's always better to
population.
Self-regulate than having somebody else do it. Correct?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying that it's not an over harvesting issue with the redfish. It's potentially just an over catching of them with the amount of people that are going out and targeting the bull reds during the spawn.
Correct. Yeah, because we have a decent, our slot limit's 15 to 23 inches, and right now you're allowed to keep 6 on a boat. 3 is so we've got a a small limit, which I think is decent, and that has certainly helped. But again, just because we have such a a really cool bull redfish bite here, which has drawn people in to come and fish for, is where the issue I think lies.
And they're doing a lot of DNR's doing a lot of push. I mean, there are saltwater hatcheries. I didn't mean to ignore them, but they are trying to push, using short leaders and circle hooks and stuff for those big reds to get them in quickly and get them back in the water. But yeah, and hook them in the mouth so they don't gut hook or whatever. But there are steps, there's outreach stuff in place for helping with that, and really for anything. And they've been really trying to talk to the guides and have the guides all kind of on the same page. And I will say most of the guides sort of, bond together and seem to be like, yeah, we're going to protect this population.
Like a prison gang.
Like a gang.
Well, and I was just going. We've got one other issue that is starting to become more significant, is our shark predation. It's I'll say it's way more significant than it was. So you've got to be mindful.
Too many sharks?
Meaning you got to releasing that big fish. Is that big fish going to make it back to where he came from before the tax man comes in?
Gets him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tax man.
Tanya lost both of her arms.
She's oh, there they are. She's
they're here.
Back.
I just leaned back too far. It's getting late.
That's so. Are you saying that potentially there needs to be some targeted shark fishing?
No, that's a good point. No,
where you harvest some shark. I mean, I guess that's kind of hard, right? Not many
Yeah,
people
I'm
wanna
definitely
eat a
not
lot
going
of
to
shark.
say that because I've got people that would definitely not like that statement. There's just
Oh,
I think
something is going on environmentally where there's been change. I mean, certainly our sharks have gotten protected, which I think needed to happen.
Mhm.
You know, why we're having more shark predation, I don't have the answer to that. I mean, we do have much more anglers on the water than we used to, and that might just be it. But I also know that these sharks are very intelligent, and when they realize there's a food source, they're going to come.
Yep.
It's more prevalent along the South Atlantic right now than it ever has been, for real.
Yeah.
Like
that makes sense though, right? Like you work a big redfish in, it's weak, and then when you take your pictures, Bebe already said she's gonna destroy a fish to take all the selfies she wants.
It's gonna be dried out.
Yep. Thing looks like a can of tuna fish, and then she drops it in, right? A shark. Obviously, I'm joking on that end, but yeah, like you work a fish, like that big bull red is gonna be tired, and when you drop it in, the sharks are gonna figure out that's easy prey at that point.
That's interesting,
that's
and
crazy.
I asked that
That is.
Because obviously North Carolina with the flounder stuff, I've always had a picture in my mind that the inshore fisheries were kind of like an unlimited amount of fish, where as in lakes and in our lakes where I typically fish freshwater, you think of that as maybe unlimited, and there's just not as many. So that kind of changes my mindset.
There's
by
way
thinking
more
that there's
regulations
way
on
more
inshore.
fish. You know, I always felt like there was way more fish out there on the inshore and less were getting caught than we have in the freshwater stuff. But that's interesting. That's good to know from the conservation side, because that's Tanya's livelihood, and all of her friends. That's their livelihood, is being able to go out.
Listen, and we want to make
catch
sure that Tanya doesn't have to go back to where she is now, which is the South Carolina High Security Penitentiary, which is on work
book a trip, keep her out.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, my block is real. I like it.
All right. Well, speaking of that, we're about ready to hit the most realist part of this show. We're going to hit you with a set of rapid fire questions. But before we get there, I want to let both you folks be able to shout out whoever you want, because the Brewskis are a very welcoming bunch. They are amazing. But they will judge the shit out of you on the next set of questions. So we'll start with Bebe. Shout out whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I'll shout out to my boys, Cooper, Walker, and Ford. It sounds like a law firm, I know.
Yep. He only handles bank robbers. It's good.
Exactly. Who have all they've all fished their whole lives, but not really gotten into it until this past year, and now they're insane, wanting I want a Bulls Bay 7-foot stealth rod, like specific stuff, and I'm dude, there's 100 rods outside.
Cha-ching. We have an ugly stick.
Cha-ching. There's dollar signs dropping out of their eyes.
Dookies down.
And then Angling Women of the Low Country, which is the meetup group that Tanya and there's some other folks that work with us to help just get women on the water. I mean, we just try to meet up and all skill levels and get them out there fishing, and it's a great little group.
And y'all just had a meetup last night at Hadrill's.
We did.
Right?
Yep.
When do y'all meet up? When does that happen for anybody in the South Carolina area or Georgia area that might be able to make it?
It's usually I think it's the third Tuesday. I just posted the schedule last night, but it's the third Tuesday of the month is when the Angling Women of the Low Country meets up, and then the Women's Wednesdays, which is started by Hadrill's, and that's what they do. I think that's the first Wednesday of every month, and they have an educational thing. So we got this great idea to teach rigging, because I'm a make and take crafty girl. So I wanted them to take stuff home so they remember how to rig it or whatever. So I was very excited, and I thought I'd teach them 6 rigs. Well, we made it through 3, maybe.
That's fine. That's fine.
So they were like, we want to do 102. So last night was 102.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
But they'll have other things. Like I think they were talking about Tanya coming in and doing some summer tactics and
summer shivs.
And like cast nets. You know, they get into some specific, you know, targeting specific critters and just different tactics for different times of the year. So that one's a great educational program for the anglers that are like new anglers. Then like DNR does all the intro clinics, so we all work together, so it's great.
That's awesome.
And then the Wildlife Federation, which is my gig now, so I have all the Power Women Palmetto Outdoor Women's Retreat. So we teach all kinds of things at that, not just fishing, but shooting things and maybe I'm not supposed to say that, archery and
absolutely. No, you can say shooting things. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's.
I mean, as long as you're not talking about shooting people, you'll be fine on this show.
So yeah, the power folks and
she didn't say no. She didn't say no.
And the Plishing Challenge. Check out the Plishing Challenge.
Plishing Challenge.
Yes, this is a summer challenge for everybody. Where'd my thing go? Here's my cover model. There she is. Okay. Look at that red fish.
Nice.
All right.
But anyway,
so what is it?
That's free challenge. And you know, back when COVID made everybody buy a fishing rod and then they put in the garage because ballet started back. We want them to take the fishing rod back out and go and use it. So it's a challenge. It's not a tournament. So it doesn't matter if you catch a bluegill or a blue marlin, you get 1 point per fish.
Okay.
And 1 point per release. Gentle release.
No pun.
And 1 point per bag of
not
litter.
A BB release.
Not a BB release.
Long said bitch out there. Yeah.
So it's the conservation thing. And then at the end, we got 3 $500 gift cards to Palmetto State.
That's cool.
Oh, heck
very cool.
Check it out.
Very cool. Tanya.
I'm
trying to be super Southern. Tanya. What do you all right, what do you got before we get here?
What do I got? All right, so my shout outs, well, first would be to my other half, Benjamin, because he puts up with a whole lot. I am pretty much addicted, and I usually tell folks that I need counseling for this fishing problem that I have. So kudos to him for putting up with my nonsense.
Super kudos, because I mean, your other half here on this episode just wants you know, your spousal person be as far away as possible. So good on you.
I mean, you know.
Yep, so, I got you.
And then, you know, I will shout out. I've been very blessed. You know, I feel like I've put in the work, but I've got some really great support of some incredible companies that have really kind of been there for me as a female charter captain. And so I'm going to do some shout outs to St. Croix Rods, Z-Man Fishing, Ice Strike Fishing, Rio Sunglasses, AFCO, and Shimano, and gosh, did I leave anybody out? I hope I didn't. Oh, Power Pole, I guess.
All the heavy hitters. Damn.
Every reel I own is Shimano. I just bought 4 Shimano Intensas, and last week I
must
also
be
bought
nice when you don't
St.
have to pay
Croix.
for the podcast.
Well, I got them on a good sale, so I had to get them to replace.
It must be nice.
Go Shimano. I love them. They're awesome.
I will say though, I mean, these companies have just what they have done and what they want to do to support and empower women in this industry is fantastic. You know, Bebe and I are super excited. We're going back to ICAST, and she's kind of the head runner here that puts together this big women's event. And you know, we've got these companies. So St. Croix Rods.
Wait, do you guys have a? I don't mean to interrupt. Do you have a women's event for ICAST?
We do. So we've got an evening. It's like a 2-hour evening that we put together, and it's just where we've limited it to 100 ladies. We'd love to do more, and hopefully next year we'll grow it even more. But it's an opportunity for just women in the industry to get together and just collaborate and mix and mingle and just get to know each other and network.
Can we sneak in somebody? So we've got Casting Coley or Cupcake Coley, right? She's heading to ICAST. She just texted me 2 days ago. She's heading to ICAST. She's going to be working the Monster Bass booth, right? But she's like, I don't know any other female anglers there.
Shoot me her email address and we'll get her on the
connected.
Yeah. You guys should get connected. She's awesome. She's been a guest, and then since then, like
quite a few times.
A guest co-host multiple times. Like she's amazing. But California. She was like, she's out of Cali, she's out of SoCal, and when I talked to her, she's like, man, I gotta go, but like, because I guess ICAST is a little there's not as many people this year. But she's like, I don't know, as like specifically female anglers. So
she'll be overwhelmed. The first time the women
she's
come
done
to
this
that
before,
event.
I think. No, she's done this before.
But the first time they come to the women's event, they're like, I had no idea there were this many women that were
amazing.
Hardcore.
Oh, dude, we're gonna set this up. Yeah. We're gonna talk.
You need to start making Jello shots now, BB.
Exactly.
No, my signature cocktail last year was called the Taxman Tea. This year is going to be the Nightcrawler.
What is in the Nightcrawler?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. You'll have to let your
or you'll end up where I am here in this brick building.
Exactly. But Tanya kind of speaks for St. Croix and Seven Reels, who are both sponsoring that event, along with Native Watercraft and American Sport Fishing Association.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, I'm a native girl. I know you're a Hobie guy.
And Alex is an old town fella.
I'm an old town guy. So
hey, look, I've only been in a Hobie, but if it's a boat and it floats, get your ass in it and go fishing.
I think the best boat for you, Paul, is a barge at this point.
Oh my god.
I clicked the wrong one. Still clicked the wrong one. All right. You guys ready?
It's time.
Boys and girls, let's see how far down the rabbit hole we can go today. Woo! It only takes one.
I clicked all the wrong ones. My apologies. But here's how it works. We're going to hit the patent pending.
Here.
Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding.
Look, if you didn't realize that we were the most unprofessional podcast in podcast land 2 seconds into this.
No shit, right? All right, we're going to hit the patent pending shotgun round. We're going to ask both of you a set of rapid fire questions because there's two of you. We're going to alternate. But here's how it works. You guys have already shouted out whoever you wanted to talk to, all that fun stuff. All we want is your absolute genuine answer. I don't need an explanation unless we ask for it. Are you guys ready for the Bass and Brews shotgun round?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's go. BB, Texas rig or wacky rig?
Wacky.
Wacky. Okay, I'll take that. Tanya, you're on your way to a great day of fishing. Is it hype music or is it slow jams?
Oh, it's probably going to be slow jams, man.
Oh, what does that mean for you, though? What does slow jams mean for you? What are you playing?
Well, I mean, I'm a country girl at heart, so I mean, you know, it's. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even really play music on the boat, though. I mean, it's just I'm just listening.
Well, it's on your way to the boat.
It's on the way to the water.
On the way to the water. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't. I'll be honest. I just listen to the highway on, Sirius XM. So, I mean, that's just my jam.
Right.
Shit, I thought you meant you listen to the highway like you drive down the road in silence.
Well, sometimes. Well, I'll be honest. Like half the time I do that. I'm sitting there thinking about the day and going, well,
psychopath. Psychopath.
First, I'm like, saying my little prayer, saying, let's have a safe day, and hoping for some fish and get the skunk off the boat. But
hopefully I get a good tip. God damn it!
Did I remember the boat plug? Did I remember the bait?
Did I put the keys in the ignition in the boat before I left the house? Yeah.
Look, I don't. When I'm on my way to fish, I don't listen to a damn thing. But the windows are down. I listen to the highway, literally the highway, not the Sirius XM. Hey, also Tyler Ward, did you hear that? She listens to slow jam country music. We had a guest, Tyler, who said that he listened to hype music. We go, what hype music? And what the hell did he say? Brooks and Dunn was his hype music.
Brooks and Dunn was his hype music. How weak is that? Hey, Tyler Ward,
good stuff.
You're a little
it
motherfucker.
Is great stuff, but it ain't no hype music.
Golly. Yeah. That's two. All right. I'll take it. All right, baby.
Yep.
Is it Crocs or is it flops? Flops. Okay, I'll take that.
I don't know. Or do saltwater anglers even wear Crocs? I think they're opposed to them that they probably burn them. They get them for a Christmas present. They take them out the next day and burn them. Saltwater folks are all about the flops.
My dad and his brother had to get a pair of red and a pair of green, and they switched so that they had one red and one green. But they fought over which one actually got the green that matched the green and red to match starboard and
Tell
port.
me your country without telling me your country. Also, I love that BB just showed us instead of talking like it's a podcast, and she just showed us. It's the best.
We are recording video though.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, it's the best. I love it.
And it's got a redfish on it. So there we go.
All right, there you go. Tanya, is it? Oh shit! What's the question, Paul?
Oh my gosh, pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
There you go. Yeah. Throw that one.
Yeah, I'm not a pineapple on pizza. I've had it, but it's just not my thing.
There you go. Right. I love it.
Fine. Yep. That's the wrong answer, but that's fine.
I ain't paying for it.
Nope.
Well. Baby.
Yep.
Have you ever eaten beaver?
Closest I've gotten is raccoon.
Okay.
Tell you what.
So you ate raccoon. How did you prepare that raccoon?
And I ate nutria, but
that's a rat, basically.
All right,
yeah.
We've talked about eating raccoon on here before. I think we talked about eating nutria. But tell us about eating nutria. How was that?
It was in a stew, so how bad could it be?
So it tasted delicious. Good point. Sounds good.
They were like, it was wild game. It's a wild game stew, and you're like, what really is it? So, but yeah, it was. I ate it. I probably wouldn't do it again.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Barbecued beaver, delicious.
Have not had it yet.
Well, you cook it like you would a hog, low and slow, barbecue sauce, pull it. Tell you what, it's delicious. It's good eating.
Tanya, have you or do you eat largemouth bass?
I have. It's been a really long time though.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, is it true that the 9-pounders have the best caviar and fillets?
I don't know the answer to that because
That's a little joke that we pick on here because you know how bass anglers get about eating bass, and then you start throwing around 8 and 9-pounders and eating their eggs, and they get a little upset. So we try to stir the pot just a hair.
I have such a good video, but there's a rule on this episode, and I can't play the video. But next week, everybody.
I think
next week, everybody.
I think we're at. I can't remember any of the other questions. I think we've had them all. So we're at
no, we are. No, we're not. No, we're not. Baby, are you going to spend more on a rod or a reel?
It depends on if it's fly.
That's not.
There's no dependent.
It's not a dependent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanna say reel, but I'm gonna say rod.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to hear Tanya's answer to this.
I do too.
Being the professional guide, saltwater. I want to hear this from a professional saltwater guide.
Spend money on rods and reels.
Wow. If you had to,
rod.
No shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Saltwater fishing, I always think it's a reel in saltwater fishing because
it's going to get destroyed eventually, like with the saltwater. So you go cheapest as possible. That is functional.
I mean, if you'd asked me this question 10 years ago, I'd have told you reel all day long. But no, definitely rod.
Real quick, the quick answer: why the rod?
Just because I've had the opportunity to put my hands on and now own just quite an arsenal of rods, and it just
how many rods, Tanya?
I think we're almost at 50 now.
Okay.
Hey, when it's your job,
that's actually
you gotta
not
try them
that
all.
high. We've talked to kayak fishermen that have way more than that.
Well, if you ask my husband that, he's like, "Don't you need to give some of these away or get rid of some of these? I mean, what are we going to do with them all? We live in a small
The
house."
husband's like, I thought just one rod was okay.
He's like, how much money could we make if you sold the 10 of the 50 you haven't used in the last 4 years?
It's a lot easier to sneak new ones in now, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, when you get more than like 10 stacked up on the wall, you can slide 3 or 4 more in there, and nobody's gonna. You just got to make sure you cut the tag and the plastic and all the newness off.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I am not mature enough for this conversation.
But yeah, just to go back to it, so I had the really cool opportunity working with St. Croix Rods, and we just redid the Avid Inshore saltwater line. And so, I had some of the older models that I personally owned and had been fishing with, and then, got to try out, the prototypes and work with them on the new ones, and just, getting to see just the differences in those, it's like the same lot of rods, but they made these advancements, and just the sensitivity and just the finesse of these rods that changed, and just the feel of the rod, and they changed the corks on them, and it just, you wouldn't think, but I was just like, wow, this is just such an upgrade to an already really nice rod. And so you just start to pay more attention. And then when you are fishing, and I do a lot of light tackle finesse fishing, and so rods absolutely make a difference in, when I'm hauling in a 34-inch redfish on a 7.3 light, a light rod, it's awesome, but you've got to have that rod that can handle that fish. So
yeah, since I've upgraded some of my rods, I can tell a big difference in taking some of mine that are 10, 15 years old and replace them with some of the new ones that cost less than those did 10 years ago, and how much better they are. It is amazing, the technology improvements.
Cool. That's all fun. That's not what we're going for here. All right, I'm gonna ask you both, Paul, I need your help on this one. We cannot react to their answers until they say them. All right? Because we don't normally have 2 guests on the show. We have 1. And this is actually the most volatile question that comes up. So we're going to start with you, BB. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins?
For the boat.
Yep.
Going fishing, you got to make 3 sandwiches with 3 different proteins.
There it is.
Okay, peanut butter.
Okay.
That is my number 1.
Okay.
And it would have to be paired with Fritos, which y'all mentioned earlier. So I don't know why that is. Just a childhood.
No.
I know. I'm just saying.
No, Alex. I'm talking to Alex.
Yeah, he's talking to me. So 1 sandwich, peanut butter, Fritos. Okay.
Okay. Probably ham.
Okay. And number 3.
It would have to. I want. It'll be a sandwich, but it's gonna be 2 proteins on it. So it's gonna be turkey and bacon.
That's fine. Okay, that's great. That's perfect. Tanya, what do you got?
all right, protein. So it's going to be either roast beef, ham,
Perfect.
turkey.
Yep. Perfect. All right. Now that we got those through.
Nope. I'm going first. I'm appalled. And I'm disappointed in both of y'all's asses from being from South Carolina, and neither one of you said bologna.
I can't do that anymore.
I mean, I ate a shit ton of it as a kid, but not now.
Yeah, I'm done. That and Vienna sausages, I'm out.
Hold on, baby. You said fucking peanut butter and
Alex.
Fritos. I don't give a shit at this
you
point.
put Fritos on the peanut butter sandwich?
We're at 2 hours in, and she said the most bullshittery I've heard in a hot minute.
Like
You said peanut butter with Fritos on top. Are you kidding me? What?
But bologna is not even real. It's like, I don't eat Amis and Onis, okay?
Fritos isn't real.
Just get some crunchy peanut butter.
That's what I like.
With Fritos, you get double the crunch. Double the crunch.
No Amis and Onis. I learned that.
Alex, we're making that Robert whatever drink it is. We're trying that, and we're making peanut butter and Frito sandwiches. And we're gonna eat the sandwich and then drink the drink.
For sure. This is gonna be the BB special. I've tried my hardest all episode not to drop the F-bomb. I did drop one a little bit earlier, right? But
you dropped about 5 now, so stop.
Was fully true because you never put Fritos and peanut butter. Anyways, ladies, you guys hang on for a minute. We've got some extracurricular. That sounded weird. Hang out for a minute in the green room. Everybody else, it's been great having you on. It's Bass and Brews. I keep trying to fade in this background music.
Why are you talking so much tonight? I mean, you've been so long-winded. This is ridiculous.
What? Well, I'm just trying to get the money's worth out of the intro that we paid for every month. So, later.